we get to a little bit of a more morbid thing, we should have been celebrating this. By the way, the night Trump got booed, coincidentally, was the night this was announced.
Yeah, but he also had to stage a photo after. So they were killing Baghdadi from the Situation Room while Trump was throwing out the first pitch and getting booed. And so after
he watched it in live time, they said.
No, after they realized that, they went into the Situation Room and they took a staged photo. So there's a staged photo. You could see the Trump and the guys are pissed that they're even taking the photo with Trump. And then you can see that it juxtaposed to when Obama was in the war room killing bin Laden and they were all serious and like doing the real work.
Why? All right. So also, all shit aside. This was a bad guy that was killed. If you don't know,
he's
ISIS
the number one
leader,
of ISIS.
Yeah,
number one.
Most wanted now after bin Laden being killed. We celebrated in the streets when bin Laden died. Obama got credit. Bush tried to steal some. We know that, whatever, this and that. Obama got the praise. It's one of his crowning achievements in his presidency. No one can take that ever, ever, ever away from him. It will always be mentioned in the history books. Whether you like Trump or not, why couldn't we rally around this? What's really happening? And are we that divided? Is it that fucked?
No.
The media, and we'll get into what the Washington Post said.
Everybody is happy that al-Baghdadi is dead. There's nobody that's not happy about that.
Are you sure?
Well, except ISIS, right? So there's nobody that's not happy about that. But I think that just the way that Trump does everything opens him up to a lot of criticism. He's very brazen. He's very stuck in his ways. So he'll golf during a Baghdadi shooting, which is really fascinating or he'll go to a baseball game. But it's really fascinating for two reasons. One, if you became president of the United States, guys, right? You're president of the United States. A Ranger team is going to go in and kill the number one of ISIS. What more exciting fucking entertainment do you want? Would you not be there in the war room watching that video, being a part of that? Would you go to a baseball game to throw out a pitch at that moment? I mean, I'm just saying, just as a general human, I think the more interesting thing would be to be actually functioning as the president.
I haven't heard this timeline that you're explaining because then there's a real lie going on. So I got to double check this, but I had heard that he literally watched this live in real time while they had their cameras on doing it. But some of the criticism was they couldn't hear. So one of the knocks was you didn't hear him whimpering or crying or begging for his life. Or whatever,
and then he lied about it.
How he described it.
Yeah.
He didn't hear that. He may have been told that, but apparently there was no audio, which makes sense. They probably didn't have audio. But that being said, he didn't say he heard it. He said that that's what that man did.
Well,
but
what I heard was that the
happened.
photo was staged after in the war room.
Right.
That he wasn't in the war room with him.
So
maybe he watched it somewhere before the game or something.
Right.
But what's also fascinating is, so Baghdadi, when he moved into this new house that he was in, this new like strong house that they were holding him in, he had tunnels underneath the house, and he slept with a suicide jacket.
Yes.
And so when the Rangers came in, he went after a firefight. They had to shoot their way in. So when they shot their way in, he was down in one of the tunnels hiding with two of his children. Three of his children, and he blew them all up with a suicide vest, which is beyond fucked up.
Yeah. He went out like.
But I don't know if he would be whimpering, running, and crying at that point because he's in a tunnel. He's probably like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you might know you're inevitably done. It's over.
Well, yeah,
I
agree.
He obviously liked his life still.
Well, I'm sure everybody likes living until you don't, right?
Yeah.
So
he had children. There's other kids, I believe, that have survived.
There's some of them when the Rangers got out there. Some of them came out and they were like allowed to leave.
Not all of his children
before the firefight and before all of that happened.
The Washington Post put a very, and this is what I think hurts your side a little bit, man. I think that the apologizing for this guy in any way is so gross, and obviously the Republicans and the right are going to jump on it. But to call him an austere scholar and make very mild reference to his heinous atrocities, and then not even say killed, which he was. He, in a sense, he blew himself up or whatever. Suicide, passes away. They really softened it, and I'm not sure why. Is that where we're at with propaganda? Forget who even did it. Why would we soften
I'm not sure
that?
about that one. I'm not sure why they did that or why it was written in that tone. It does seem weird because he was a horrible human being.
If you look back.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who pushed so much propaganda. He shot videos that have inspired tons of terrorism around the world. And so, yeah, he's a horrible human being. So I don't know why they would soften it. I don't agree with softening it.
Trump got him?
Maybe. I would like
is that where we're at?
I would like to think that that's not it, that they had some other reason for doing it, but it's hard to see another reason for why they would soften the article.
That's
Do you know what's fascinating about this thing too? So basically how they got this guy, they were working this for a long time. They got an informant that was in al-Baghdadi's inner circle in ISIS, and he was in charge of like bringing him house to house and moving family members around for medical treatment and all this stuff. Well, ISIS is such a ruthless organization, they killed one of this guy's family members. And as soon as they killed one of his family members, he went rogue inside the organization and he started talking to the Americans. And prior to this, the Americans had got somebody out of ISIS before, and they took a big meeting with him, and the guy blew up everybody in the meeting. So a lot of high-level American officers and officials were killed in this explosion. So they took a long time vetting this new guy to make sure that he wasn't trying to pull something. And eventually they got to the point where they realized that this guy was legitimate. And then they went through with this operation to kill Baghdadi. 2 days after they killed Baghdadi, this man and his entire family were flown out of there. And they were given, I would assume, some kind of new life in America or somewhere else where they're safe. And there was a $25 million bounty on al-Baghdadi's head. And they're talking about they're talking about giving the full $25 million to this guy who was formerly in ISIS.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Sometimes you got to take out the big fish. We're going to wrap this show up. Baghdadi's dead, and that's a positive thing.
That is a positive thing. America is winning the war on terrorism,
that killed a lot of people. And I think Trump pulled this with the whole Syria talk and the questions about what he was doing in Syria, what he's not doing, what everybody bitching about that and having their things.
He pulled those troops out of Syria for Putin.
Yeah, all 25 of them. That's episode number 11. We're also going to go out on this note. We always mention Jeffrey Epstein news when we hear it, and if you can believe it, there is more news today coming out. The autopsy from the doctor that was hired by the family has revealed that this is consistent with a homicide, strangulation, that this was not a suicide. We'll see how that goes.
I don't think that's a big surprise for anyone that Epstein could have been killed. And if you're on the internet at all lately, you see there's a huge clamoring where people think this is bullshit, that Epstein was killed. It'll be interesting to see if we ever get some answers to that. It won't be soon. It'd be like before we die or something. Yeah.
We had a feeling that this is how it's going to be. But, hey, no Ghislaine Maxwell, no French guy, no nothing. Everything called it.
Dies with
Go
him.
Watch.
And then a hurricane hits his house, and that's that.
Yeah, it's amazing. We called this. Watch the previous episodes, and you'll see how we said this would just slowly go away. And now we're talking impeachment.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Yes, enjoy. Trick or treat, trunk or treat.